All right, I think we should probably get started. It's
Okay.
12 p.m. and just to respect everybody's time, we're going to get underway. My name is Adam Morehouse. I'm the marketing manager at Rose Training. And so if you've opened an email about this particular Zoom with Jean, thank you for doing that. Thank you for opening our messages and welcome. Just as an introduction, Rose Training, Jean and I work for Rose Training Australia. Rose Training Australia is a company that's been around since 2007. It's a family-owned and operated business. It's located in Brisbane, and we are the proud leading provider of Marriage Celebrancy in Australia. So we offer marriage celebrancy training courses via Zoom. Obviously, before the pandemic, we used to have face-to-face, but primarily we offer the Marriage Celebrancy course through Zoom these days. Just a bit about our courses. As I said, they're conducted online. We provide tremendous amount of support for our students via the online portal, via Wednesday night drop-ins, just like this with Jean and another one of our trainers, Mark. All of our trainers are experienced marriage celebrants themselves. They're very busy people these days, given the number of weddings that are going forward after the pandemic. So I just want to sort of introduce Jean. Jean is our head of marriage celebrancy at Rose Training. She's also a very experienced marriage celebrant and does a lot of our training across the country, and either via Zoom or our presentation days where we're helping our students get through their practice ceremonies and such. So I'll just turn some time over to you, Jean.
Thank you, Adam, and welcome everyone today. Yes, as Adam said, I'm the trainer here at Rose Training, so I coordinate the training for all of our students online and our face-to-face Zoom students. We're currently offering a Q&A evening every Wednesday evening for an hour, so our students are able to pop on and just, casually ask questions that they might be concerned about within the course. A lot of them just pop on with a coffee in their pajamas and just listen to whatever the chatter or banter is, that might be happening in that Q&A. So it makes people feel connected. You're sitting on your own doing an online course. You feel like you're the only person in the world doing it. You join one of our Q&As and all of a sudden you've got 20 new friends that are all feeling exactly the same way. So it just makes people feel like they're not alone and there's always someone there to support. Adam mentioned Mark, who is our student services support person. So once you have enrolled and your course begins, you'll either have contact with myself if you're doing a face-to-face training course. You will definitely have contact with Mark from beginning to end, and he's the person there to support any questions. As Adam said, we are all, Mark and myself and the assessor, are all experienced marriage celebrants, so we're very current in the industry, which we need to be in order to successfully train students to become celebrants just like us.
Great.
And we eat, and my lunch is sitting next to me. Once again, I'll say I'm starving. Sorry, Adam. Serious.
All right. Well, as promised, you may have seen a video. I sent it in a clip in the email, and it's a video that was made recently. Despite all appearances, it was shot here on the Gold Coast. Despite the rain and the clouds and the mist. It looked more like a scene from Tassie than from the sunny Gold Coast, but that's I think sort of very indicative of the weather lately this way. So I think what we'll do is we'll show that now. Please excuse any lag that happens. There's not much we can do to. Depends on sort of the speed of the internet and that sort of thing, but I'll play that now and then we'll come back and would love for you to have some questions to ask Jean. And I think Jean will talk a bit more about her life as a marriage celebrant. One thing that we do know is that there's sort of two types of students that come to us, and one is someone who's going to do wants to be a marriage celebrant for a loved one. It might be one of the children or for a friend. And so it might just be, they might just only do 1 or 2 ceremonies and that's it. The other type of student that comes and does the course with us is somebody that wants to become a marriage celebrant as a sort of a career move. And that might be like their weekend side hustle, or it might be a full-time career. So if you've got questions or fall into one of those two camps, we're certainly going to have some time to talk to Jean about that when we come back. So I'll share the screen now with you. Share the video. All right, so can you see that?
Yes.
That's visible?
No audio, Adam.
Oh, let me see. I'll do. Oh, that's because I haven't clicked play yet.
Oh, sorry, I jumped the gun.
Right, here we go.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Jean and welcome to the most wonderful place to be on any given day, and that's a wedding ceremony. In the next few moments, I will be the narrator, the director, the choreographer, whose role it is to paint the love story of a beautiful couple who are about to become partners in life. You guessed it, I'm a marriage celebrant. I declare, without bias at all, the most amazing, heart-filling, soul-soothing job you could ever hope to have. Being a celebrant opens a path to share joy, to share love, to laugh with families as they share their memories, shed tears of joy with couples who take the walk of their lives down the aisle. You have to love life to do this job. You have to love love. You need to connect with your couple, a source of inspiration limited only by your imagination. Your working day will take you to places you could only imagine. Picture a heritage winery with a sweeping driveway leading up to a colonnaded veranda, capturing the views of vast fields of vineyards in the distance. A beach of golden sands with sparkling blue ocean as your backdrop. A mountaintop surrounded by an enveloping, romantic shroud of mist. A white timber chapel filled with beautiful pink roses. This will be some of your work environments and so many more. Everything here today has been homegrown, handmade, hand-built by all of the family and done with so much love. It's inspiring, it's an honour to be a part of it, it's truly incredible. How can you not want to be a part of all of this?
Okay, so I hope you all got to, I hope that came through clear and sort of got an idea of what it's all about. I think we'll just, Jean, do you want to talk a bit more about that? Maybe
Well, I could say lots about that particular day. I'm sure you noticed it was raining. And while we did that little presentation, the umbrella was down, but for that whole ceremony, it actually rained. Bridal party had umbrellas. I was wearing gumboots right up until we actually delivered that ceremony. And the guy that was doing the video for that presentation, I said to him, do not point the camera to my feet because I've got my gumboots on and I literally had mud from my ankles to my knees moving around the ceremony site and getting everything prepared. So it was quite a challenge just to get everyone organised, but so much fun. You know, on a day like that, we work through the elements, but we deliver a ceremony that just creates so much love and so much joy on the day, all of those other little things get forgotten about. So ceremony starts, whip off the boots, wipe my legs with some wet ones, put on the stilettos and stand up the front to actually deliver that ceremony. Bridal party walk down, it's raining, they've got their umbrellas on, their faces are funny faces while they're squelching in the mud walking up the aisle, but so full of joy and love they didn't even notice that the mud was, you know, splattering up their dresses. The bride, when she got up there, the whole bottom of her train was covered in mud. But again, it's that joyous moment that you're part of. No one really cares. Let's just get married and deliver the ceremony. Few last minute changes with the signing, that table that you saw right at the end where we were signing all the documents. A last minute change to get it out of the rain to keep the paperwork wet and dry, and we actually put it up behind the arbour, which was in front of a big barn, and we opened up these massive big barn doors to do the signing. All the guests are sitting in the rain enjoying everything, and you know, we've got this beautiful dry environment to actually do the signing for the ceremony. So it was such a beautiful day, and I was trying to paint in that description. That was a rainy, foggy, top of the mountainside ceremony. They're also different. The next one could be a sunny beach, wind, beautiful waves in the background, sand going everywhere, but another joyous occasion. Another one can be inside a chapel where it's more traditional, and you might have beautiful roses that just decorate the whole chapel, and you've got this all-inspiring environment in a timber chapel to deliver a ceremony. They're all so very different, aren't they, Adam? Adam's heard all of my stories.
I have. I've been to a few of these venues as well.
Yeah.
So, now, look, I'd love to sort of make this an interactive Zoom. So feel free to ask some questions. I think I'll throw some questions out there because you might be thinking of these. So feel free to ask, Jean. You know, what's involved in becoming a marriage celebrant in Australia? Sort of how long does it take? What's your sort of typical sort of week or month? You know, how many sort of weddings how often do you perform weddings? How do you go about finding clients? Yeah, so those are some questions you may have. Do you want to just talk about those, Jean? And then
Those particular topics, yeah.
Yeah. Then in the chat box, if you want to type a question, and we can read those, and
well.
Jean can answer those as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So the course with Rose Training has 12 months completion date on it. But, you know, some people will finish that course in 3 or 4 months. Some people will finish it in 6 months. Some people will go right to the extent of the 12 months. That really depends on how much time you've actually got that you want to put in or commit to study time through the week. And once you have finished the course and you receive your certificate from Rose Training, then you go on to apply to the Attorney General to be a registered marriage celebrant. Now, the AG's website currently is suggesting that it takes 3 months for your registration to come through. That is the worst case scenario. In reality, if you follow the checklist of all the things that you need to upload when you're doing your application, it could take anywhere from 6 weeks to 3 months. 3 months, worst case scenario, but sometimes quicker. Once you've got your authorization through, then you are set to start advertising yourself as a marriage celebrant in the community. Now, Adam, go on.
So Jean, Elena asks, how far in advance do couples usually book their celebrant?
Well,
you start to take bookings before completing your training, so you have work.
No, you're not actually able to take bookings or suggest that you are a registered celebrant until the Attorney General gives you that authority. So you've got to wait until then, and you can't complete any legal paperwork, but you can put on your Facebook or your Instagram pages or your website, watch this space. I am waiting to become an authorised marriage celebrant, and you can start to prepare people to book you in advance. Get it out in the community, let all your friends know what you're doing, and word of mouth will travel faster than you can imagine. And then once you're registered, then you can go ahead and take the bookings for that. Did I answer all of that question then, Adam?
Yep.
That's it. Okay, and once you are registered, then of course you've got, and Adam and I have done quite a few webinars on, setting up your social media sites, your Instagram account, your Facebook page, your website. Some celebrants will want to do as many ceremonies as they can get booked. And some celebrants will only want to do immediate family members and friends. So some of you might be looking at doing half a dozen ceremonies in a year, if that, because that's just your family and friends. And some of you will be looking to do this as a full-time job, which you can do as long as you set yourself an advertising budget and you make people aware that you're there to do ceremonies. So in 52 weeks of the year, how many weeks would you like to work? And how many ceremonies would you like to do in each week? For some of you, as we said, a half a dozen in a year, you can spread that out across whenever your family or friends are hoping to get married. For others of you that are looking to make this a full-time role, do you want to work 52 weeks of the year? Or do you want to work 40 weeks of the year and have 3 or 4 ceremonies within that week? As a small business owner, which you are as a celebrant, you determine how much you want to do and how many weddings that you want to make yourself available to do.
Okay, Elena is asking again. Sorry, Elena, I did miss that part of it. Her question was, how far in advance do couples usually book?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, it is a little different, and the trend is moving a little bit. Before COVID, in general, people would probably book 6 months to 2 years in advance, let's say, more longer than shorter. But during COVID, with all of the things that changed and all the restrictions that we had, and now because we've got a build-up of people waiting to get married, the turnaround time's been a lot quicker. So this year for me personally, my ceremonies have been booked 4 to 6 months in advance for this year. But what's trending now is my couples that are booking, I've got bookings for 23, lots of bookings for 23 and 2024. And the reason for that is for a couple to get the venue of their choice, they sometimes need to book 2 years in advance, especially with the concertina of ceremonies that we've had since COVID. So, it can be any amount of time, a year, 2 years, 6 months. I would say on an average, I would say probably 12 to 14 months in advance. So you've really got a good look at what's coming for the following year well in advance.
And Jean, what's the minimum?
Okay, well, there's some legal requirements with the minimum. A couple can't get married any earlier than 1 month before they let the celebrant know that they would like to get married. So there's a legal requirement of a 1 month's notice. In those cases, you would learn in the course what the requirement is to actually enable a couple to get married either short of the month or just on that month. So there is a legal requirement there. So I guess the shortest is 1 month from when they actually let the celebrant know and the forms are completed.
Okay. And how many hours on average per ceremony?
On average,
preparation and delivery.
Yeah, between 15 and 17 hours would be the average amount of time to prepare from when they first call you to when you finish doing the ceremony, you go back home, you complete all the legal paperwork and you register their marriage legally. So about 17 hours. Some couples, if you're traveling greater distances to go to your ceremonies, there might be a little bit more time involved there. If your ceremonies are at your local park that's just down the street, it's going to be a little bit shorter. So in that 17 hours on average, I've calculated in your travel time to a rehearsal, doing the rehearsal and coming home, your travel time to get to the wedding, deliver the wedding, and come back home, and then your time to actually craft the ceremony script, to actually write it, complete legal paperwork before, complete legal paperwork after, and actually correspond with the client from when they first book you to when the ceremony is completed. Yep. So that's pretty well an industry average as well, Adam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We have another question from, I think, Murray Tegan. What kind of content will the training course cover?
Yeah.
And what can I expect? And will there be any training celebrations, even if I take the course fully online? Training celebrations, I'm not quite sure what you meant. Yeah.
Okay, so what does the course entail? To begin with, there is
I think what Maria's meaning is, will there be any mock ceremonies? Are there mock ceremonies as part of the course, whether she's doing it online or whether she's doing it via Zoom, the 5-day class?
So whether you're doing it on a face-to-face class or whether you're doing it online, the course content is the same. If you're doing it face-to-face, we spend a week to actually introduce you to the first couple of activities, or the first 24 activities in the course, which gives you a good solid grounding and understanding of legislation, marriage forms, and putting together one ceremony, or looking at putting together one ceremony. There are 9 ceremonies in total in the course, one of them that you do right at the beginning, and then the other 8 are done at the end. 5 of them are wedding ceremonies. One is a baby naming, one is a funeral, one is a renewal of vows, and one is another small life stage ceremony. So what the course endeavours to do is, number one, to expose you to marriage ceremonies and give you the understanding of the legislation and the code of practice to be an authorised marriage celebrant, but to also be exposed to the celebration of other milestone ceremonies that we would have: a funeral, a baby naming, a renewal of vows, a commitment ceremony, a boat naming, you name it, whatever those other ceremonies that you might be part of in a ceremony, in the community, marking different milestones in a person's life. We're exposing you to a few different ones in the course. And you look at, how to put together the questions to build the ceremony, the legal requirements that you need to know for the wedding ceremonies, the template, the order of service template, all of those sorts of things that are going to help you actually put the ceremony together.
Okay. Stephanie Hall asks, now the joys of being a celebrant are abundantly obvious.
Yeah.
But what do you find is the biggest challenge?
I find the biggest challenge is working with the elements that the environment dishes out for us. There always has to be a plan B. The majority of those ceremonies that we're doing are going to be in the park, on the beach, on a cliff top. Yes, a lot are in chapels, but a lot of them are outside. So the couple will book the venue that they want, but they are going to have a plan B. And if you are a very good celebrant, giving them all of those things to think about, like you're having the ceremony in the park, that's wonderful. What is your plan B? Do we need a plan B? Yes, you do. Because on the day, your duty of care as a celebrant is to ensure that the ceremony runs smoothly. So the challenges I find personally are working with my PA equipment in windy conditions, perhaps having to sort out rain issues when the rain pops in unexpectedly in the middle of a ceremony. And just those little things that can go a little bit wrong on the day. Not that it's a challenge, it's things that you need to be aware and know how to fix, like the bridal party popping in without their flowers pinned to their jackets, and they'll give you a box of flowers and say, nobody told us what we were supposed to do with these. And you find yourself 10 minutes before a ceremony is about to start trying to pin on 5 or 6 flowers onto the groomsman's jacket, and then making sure they're straight, because mother-in-law will say, oh my God, who pinned the flowers on all those jackets? They're not straight. Just the consideration to ensure that everyone's got their vows, not a challenge as such, but you've always got to be constantly reminding people that, do you have your vows? Do you want to send them to me so I can be the person that keeps them safe until the day of the ceremony? Just those sort of little incidentals.
Okay.
And I have to say, Adam, I've ruined a lot of shoes of late. Just with the water on the ground everywhere. I mean, I know everyone's experiencing lots of floods and things in your own states at the moment, but that water sticks around for a long time. And if you're going outside to do a ceremony, maybe the gum boots are the better option in the end.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we offer what's called Jean's ceremony survival kit.
Yeah.
And Jean will tell everybody what's in the kit and why it's in there. And I've noticed in the last couple of months that a couple of extra items have crept into the box. One of them being, I think you mentioned gum boots. And the other thing is tent pegs.
Tent pegs, yes. Okay, so another challenge, maybe not something that is the responsibility of the celebrant, but you're the one that gets there before everyone else does. So you'll be there when the stylist is setting up. Sometimes you get there after the stylist is set up and they've gone. You're the only person there before everyone starts to arrive. A couple of weddings ago, I was in that situation. It was a little bit windy and they had put flowers at the front of the arbor in a lightweight stand, and the stand kept falling over. And there wasn't anything I could do to prop up the stand and keep the flowers upright, other than have my husband, who's my roadie, steal rocks out of someone's garden and put the rocks around the bottom of the flower stand, which didn't look presentable, but it kept them standing up. So I came back to work on the Monday and I said to the Rose Training crew, I have added a hammer, little hammer, and little tent pegs, because that's all I needed to keep that stand upright. And lo and behold, on Saturday's wedding, the stylist had put up a stand with the couple's names that you always see at weddings, and it was blowing a gale. And the stand kept blowing over. And I saw this poor stylist trying to secure it with little ribbons. And I went up to her and I said, I just happen to have tent pegs in my little Mary Poppins bag. And she's looked at me and gone, no, who carries tent pegs? Me, and I've got a hammer as well. So we hammered the stand into the ground, and voila. Problem solved.
A couple more quick questions. A quick question, one about PI insurance, is it required?
Yes.
And then after that, just going on from what you were just talking about, Jean, how much are you like a wedding planner on the day? And also, is it becoming more common that you're asked to also be the MC? And would you charge for this?
Yes. Okay. So yes, it is becoming more common that you're asked to be an MC on the day, especially if you advertise yourself as such. And yes, you would charge extra for that. So an average wedding celebrant, average across the state, roughly around about $750 for a celebrant. But, you know, that average will go from, let's say, under $500 to $1,800. So there is a big scope in price there. The delivery as an MC, MCs are offering packages, you know, from $1,000 to $1,500 for an evening of MC. So you might consider adding those two figures and putting it into one package, celebrant and MC as a package. There is a requirement under the Code of Practice that you actually break the package apart if the couple don't want both of those services. But yes, you could do the MC as well as the celebrant. Makes sense. You already know the story about the couple. You've already put the ceremony together. PI, so insurance. Someone's asked about insurance. Insurance for celebrants isn't a mandatory requirement, but nor is insuring your car, is it? It's a risk that you take. So as a celebrant, you might consider public liability, personal indemnity, and copyright insurance. Now, if you take that individual cover, those three individual covers out, there is only one or two insurance companies that actually deal with the idiosyncrasies of being a celebrant. Gallagher's are the bigger firm that do insurance for celebrants, and they will offer for one financial year individual cover for those three insurances for roughly about $170. Okay, so that's your individual insurance. Or you can join a celebrant association, and there are about 10, 11 across the country. And those associations will offer their members different sorts of insurance covers. So you can join a group cover, in general across most of those associations, and it will cost you around about $27 a year, financial year, to cover for those 3 insurances. But those insurances are part of a group cover. So whilst you're covered, it's a big group that are in that. So you've got 2 options there, or 3 options: no insurance, or insurance with group cover with an association, or your own individual cover directly with the insurance company. Now, again, it's not mandatory to have those insurances, but what we're finding in Queensland at the moment, not the other states, but in Queensland, some venues are asking celebrants for their certificate of currency in their public liability and personal indemnity. It's only a new thing. It only started during COVID. So what we say now to celebrants, and I'm the president of the Alliance of Celebrants Queensland, so what we say to our members is, please be on the ball to check what your venues are asking for in advance of your wedding. And if you don't have insurance and they require a certificate of currency, then you need to get on to doing your group insurance, which is going to cost you $27. Yep. And then what was the first question with that before insurance, Adam? Sorry.
Not quite sure, but maybe we'll probably come across it, and you may have answered it already, Jean.
Yeah.
Jason asks, how do you manage different faiths?
Faiths. Okay. The code of practice for a celebrant and the obligation of a celebrant is to respect the significance of marriage to the couple, to respect their cultural significance, their social significance, any of their religious beliefs. So you are working as a professional for the couple that you're working with, and you are respecting all of their beliefs and putting that into the ceremony. So in terms of faith, it has really, it shouldn't have a conflict on what you're doing as a celebrant, because you're there to deliver the service that is important to the couple. You're the professional delivering that for them.
I suppose that leads to the next question, Jean, would be, how is a marriage celebrant different from, say, a minister of religion in terms of marrying couples?
With marrying a couple. Well, I guess the major thing is a minister of religion is going to marry the couple in the religious celebrations that we would normally see in a church. For example, a Catholic marriage will have a full nuptial mass within that marriage ceremony, okay? With couples that we're marrying in a civil ceremony, if we want to use the word civil, out of the church, the couples will decide exactly what they want to do. If they want to dance down the beach to begin the ceremony, if they want to throw, I don't know, rose petals, if they want to have a whole lot of other people involved in the ceremony and they want to play all commercial songs, which is what usually happens, they can do that. They can get married on the top of a lookout. They can get married in a hot air balloon. They can get married anywhere. There are no stipulations of where, how, what music and what readings. Where in the church, you know, there are I guess the restrictions of what the church place on the couple. The other big consideration is that the definition of marriage in Australia is marriage according to law in Australia is between 2 people. And I guess in some churches, their religious faith doesn't allow the belief that marriage is between 2 people. They would be saying marriage according to law in Australia is between a man and a woman. And then to separate it totally out, those churches will not be discriminating against a couple if they say no based on sex and gender, where as a marriage celebrant, we would be discriminating if we said no to a couple based on sex and gender. I guess they're probably the big things.
Yeah. So Robin asks, what is your biggest strength and how has that helped you to be a successful celebrant?
What is my biggest strength? That's a good question. I need to look at. I think my biggest strength as a celebrant is my ability to communicate to all of my couples in a style that suits them. to be able to switch it up or switch it down depending on who my couple are, and to make them feel really comfortable with what they are doing, and to be able to chat with them very authentically, just to be real. You know, like I let all you guys know that my lunch is sitting here on the right-hand side waiting for me to eat. That's me. I'm not going to pretend to be anyone that I'm not. I'm just going to be who I am, and my couples get that. My couples will connect straight away.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
I would vouch for you on that, Jean. I certainly
Thanks.
think that you.
So no one's ever asked me that question before. That's a good one. That's good self-awareness.
And I think that is one of your superpowers, is just being very accessible and personable and very genuine with people, which I think, because you're dealing with the public, you get all sorts, and I know that you do.
Yes.
And you're really good at putting people at ease and making them feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So we're getting quite a few questions here, so I'm going to read through.
I'm sorry, I can't answer questions quickly, Adam.
I know.
It's like there are so many different directions to go in. All right, I'll try harder to be.
Christina asks, is the use of petals at a ceremony the responsibility of the celebrant or the couple cleaning up after?
No, that's all the responsibility of the couple. But the celebrant should be aware, you know, in all the venues that you work in all your parks and places like that, you should know what the requirements are, but it's not your responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sorry, there's a but you know, if you know, then when the couple say we're having our ceremony on the beach and we've got rose petals, and you know that they're not allowed to throw rose petals, you can say, oh, look, you know, the council requirements are that you're not allowed to throw rose petals, or in the park you can do it, but you have to clean up afterwards. So just coming from a point of knowledge.
Yes. Shoes. You mentioned shoes. That brings up another thing. How do you find your wardrobe?
I'm a bit of a princess, I have to admit. So how did I find it, or how do I find it? I think my wardrobe's pretty cool.
How do you find? How do you fund? Sorry, not find.
How do I fund it? How do I fund it? Yeah. I think to begin with, if you have a couple of classic pieces, in my opinion, a navy, a black, and maybe a lighter colour, and at the moment rusts and sage greens. So maybe a navy, a black, and a rust sage green, or one of those other colours, even a pink. 3 or 4 basic outfits. That's probably all you need to begin with. And if you're comfortable just to blend, well, you should be blending with the bridal party. You should be asking the question, what would you like me to wear? I find if my groomsmen are in navy, I'll wear navy. If the groomsmen are in black, I'll wear black. If the groomsmen are now in the lighter linen colours, then I'll tend to blend with the rust or the sage or whatever's happening. So you only need a couple of outfits. You only need one if you're comfortable to wear that same navy dress or that same black dress to every ceremony. And then with shoes, then it's just coordinating shoes to go with it. I'm a stiletto heel wearer sort of person, so I've always got heels on, but I wear heel stoppers so that my shoes don't sink into the grass. And they're the little things that you can get to put on the bottom of your heels. I don't know if anyone's seen them, the most amazing things ever invented. And you can get across rubble and grass and soft dirt without sinking.
Okay. Elena's asked, let's see. Someone's asked another question. Just jump. Do you? Sorry, I was reading it. Someone else asked a question. The chat went down. Okay, so here I found it again. So the question. Oh, okay. You mentioned celebrancy associations. What sort of community of practice is there amongst celebrants in Australia?
What sort of community and practice?
Community of practice is what the question is.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we have probably 1/3 of all I know for a fact. 1/3 of all registered celebrants do belong to an association. We're currently in the industry at the moment trying to encourage more celebrants to join those associations. Number one, for the networking, so that you've got, you know, someone out there that you can reach out to, a buddy, you know, a handful of other celebrants that you can work with if you need assistance, if you need to ask questions, if you need to debrief, anything like that. And also being part of an association lends itself to our members being fully aware of what's happening in the industry in terms of trends, in terms of legal requirements, updates through paperwork or anything like that. If you are part of an association, you stay informed because those associations send out those regular emails. So there is a bit of a drive at the moment to encourage more celebrants to be part of that network or part of that association. You are able to be involved in conferences. Some of the bigger associations will have 1 or 2 conferences a year, and they'll bring in keynote speakers that are very relevant to the celebrant industry that you get great benefit from being a part of. Did that answer the question very quickly?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
If I could just sort of put a little comment in on that. Generally, I think the most successful celebrants that I've observed are the ones that are very well networked and that are collaborating with other marriage celebrants. Celebrants that sort of keep to their own and think that that's going, if they're sort of protecting their patch or whatever, we find they don't do it as well.
Yeah.
Because you can only book yourself once, and then if you get an inquiry for that particular day and you're already booked, if you hand that off to a fellow celebrant, they tend to reciprocate in kind.
Yeah.
So the next time they're booked, they refer you to for that particular lead or whatever, that client.
Yeah, so that's a good one. And just to add one more to that, if you are part of an association, they will send you their logos that you can then add to your signatures, your email accounts, your websites. It looks very professional. It's like when we hire the building person to come in and renovate our homes. We're looking to see that they're a licensed builder, part of a bigger association. It's the same professional look as a celebrant as well. Something to consider.
Okay, so Elena asks, given what you make per wedding, what are your expenses like?
Okay, there are some pretty standard expenses. Number one is your registration per financial year. Currently at the moment, it will cost you $170 per financial year to register as a celebrant, and you must make that payment every financial year. So that's a given. When you first apply, there's a $400 application fee, but that's a one-off thing. You'll never have that again. The other absolute definite cost would be if you were part of an association. So maybe $150 a year to join an association on average, maybe $180. And remember, if you are part of an association, your insurance might already be included in that membership. So you would need to check that out. But if you don't join an association and you do have insurance, then you're looking at around about $170 per year on insurance. The only stationery that you must buy as a celebrant are the certificates of marriage that we give our couple. All other paperwork can be printed off. So it's a cost of a printer and paper and ink. So that's, pretty insignificant. The only other cost for stationery to actually deliver the ceremony on the day are certificates that will cost you $1.80 a certificate. So however many ceremonies you're doing, around about $1.80 to $1.85 for each one of those certificates. So that's not a huge cost. I guess then the other major thing to consider is your travel expenses, your fuel and your outfits. And that can be as minimal, I guess, as you want to make it. If you're a princess and you need a different dress for every single ceremony with a different pair of shoes, then it's going to cost you a whole lot more. But if you're someone that, is going to stick to your 3 black, navy, and whatever other color classic outfits, then it's not going to cost you a whole lot. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest, the registration, your travel expenses, and perhaps your clothing if you're going to go over the top with it.
Okay. Michelle Brown asks, most of these questions asked today covered in the course content?
Yeah, a lot of it is. A lot of it, and probably a whole lot more, because we find with one question asked, there are so many avenues of answer. It's like, okay, this is the answer, but consider this, consider that. So definitely in the face-to-face classes, if you haven't noticed, I do a lot of talking. So one question will get lots of different suggestions with the answers. So yeah, we do.
And I think we should probably add to that, the monthly webinars that we've run for our students, sort of on rotate on about a 6 to 8 month basis. They include things like you're setting up your social media, advertising. I mentioned the ceremony survival kit. So there's a number of things that we offer each month to our students, which cover a variety of topics, some of which we've touched on today.
Yeah, and they're all free. They're invitations to all our students to join.
Yeah.
No cost of that.
Okay, so Elena asks, if you have to travel, can you include this in the quote?
Yep.
Example, if you have to fly or stay overnight.
Yep. So as a celebrant, you're going to put together your terms and conditions, and for the price that you charge, what's included? Will you travel only in a 50-kilometre radius or 100-kilometre radius? You just put that on your T's and C's. If you're travelling a further distance, price on application. If you're asked to fly in somewhere, then of course your client will be paying for your airfares and accommodation. So that's something that you would have the discussion about when you take the booking and do the quote.
Okay. So Robin asked, how long did it take you to get your business up and running to the level that you wanted it to? And what tricks and tips can you provide us?
That's another one of those tough questions. How long? I was, I guess, lucky enough to be in a community where I was well known for other things that I was doing in the community. So as soon as I became registered, the majority of my bookings were from word of mouth. But that's only going, everyone gets married. Eventually you run out of people within the community. So you've got to start advertising. So, I guess within the first 3 years, three years, I was doing lots of ceremonies within the community, word of mouth. But then after that, it became apparent if I wanted to do more, that I needed to advertise myself, have my website, or my website was ready to go. That's something you should definitely consider. Your website, your Instagram account, and your Facebook page. The trend for our millennials and Generation Z is that they're looking on those social media sites to find the industry professionals for weddings that they're looking for. So they want to see that you're up there and current. You can create all of those images when you first start off. You can do those Instagram shots. You can, suggest what it is that you're planning to do, or, set up a pretty picture that looks like you're a celebrant that knows what you're doing. It doesn't need to be all, every ceremony that you've done that you've posted. But if you're putting content up there that looks like you know what you're doing, then you're creating an image for yourself, which sort of went away from the question I was asked in the first instance, wasn't it? Yeah. I've had a very blessed and fortunate career as a celebrant. Became a celebrant, was very active in the community that I lived in, then had the opportunity to come on board with Rose Training quite a lot of years ago, and go on to train as well as do marriage ceremonies. So it didn't take me long, but I'm active. I was active, yeah, Adam.
And these days, Jean, you're finding you're getting a lot of bookings through your Facebook ads.
I have, because I'm a very, very awesome marketing manager.
Who was that guy?
Put some ads together for me this year, and what do they say on average? Your conversion is about 1 in 10. So 10 leads, 1 conversion, 2 conversions. Is that about average, Adam, for a stand? Yeah.
I think
in
2.
anything? Yeah. About 2. Yeah. Well, yeah, we put this advertising package together with some standard responses on my Facebook page, and we converted 28 out of 55 leads. But of the 55 leads, I have to say, 4 of them were from overseas, so they didn't count. 1 person wanted to know where I bought my dress so they could buy my dress. So that didn't count. So there were actually something like 49 real leads that converted to 28 bookings done. Yeah.
Okay. So someone else asked a question about sound systems, what they cost, and using them.
Yes.
And I'll just quickly say, another question was about, do you recommend the Platinum over the other, Platinum being the Platinum Business Pack that we sell with our Celebrancy courses? Yeah.
Okay. So might let you answer the Platinum one, Adam. Yeah.
Yep. You want to?
And the sound system.
Okay. Sound system?
So you'll find the majority of celebrants are using systems called MiPro, MiPro. I've had my first MiPro sound system. I've had that for 14 years. It's pretty old, but it's still going strong. Great sound, just a beautiful PA system to use. The cost of that, you know, if you buy a whole outfit of microphone, corded, cordless, Madonna mic, lapel mic, the PA system itself, a stand, a cover, you're looking at around about 2,500, 2,600 for all of it. But you can buy all those bits and pieces, you know, 1 bit at a time. I'm not sure what the breakdown of the PA system is on its own. I think it's just, oh no, I can't remember.
It's such a good system. We've listed it on our website actually, on Jean's recommendation, because you know, she's had one for 14 years and it's just been like almost bulletproof. And Adam, what I will say to that is your PA system is the most important tool you possess, apart from your communication skills. Your PA system is the most important tool that you possess as a celebrant. It's what you're going to be delivering the ceremony with. It's going to make your ceremony audible. It's going to make you sound professional. It's going to make sure you're engaging with everyone at the ceremony. The last sort of complaint you want to get is we couldn't hear what the celebrant said. Yeah.
So that PA system is so, so important. And, you know, the better it is, the more professional you sound on that system. Yeah.
Okay, so coming back to the Platinum Pack. The Platinum Pack,
yeah.
Yeah, so the Platinum Pack, look, we definitely recommend it because what you get with it, it covers, so the celebrancy, the certificate for in celebrancy covers the requirement to become a marriage celebrant. But of course, as we've been talking about, there's so much more to it in terms of the sound system, marketing yourself, getting clients, you know, being an MC, all those things. And so the Platinum Pack addresses all of those things individually and gives you quite an in-depth sort of, I think Jean's best wisdom on that. And also there's things in there like the Business Startup Pack, which takes you through your options as a sole provider, you know, and getting yourself started. You know, alternatively, you would go to an accountant and ask them for their advice and just sort of blindly say yes to whatever they suggested. But it really sort of gives you all the options and gives you a good understanding what your options are when getting started as a marriage celebrant in business.
I guess it's like a what to do next, isn't it? You get your certificate, you become qualified, and it's okay, where do I go from here? here are some things to consider, and that's in that package, that extra package, platinum package.
Yeah. Now Jason's got a great question. Are you allowed to sing at the service?
Oh, of course you can, if your couple want you to. So that would be, I guess, your niche, the singing celebrant. We've got a few Elvis Presley celebrants out there. So yes, you can do whatever it is that the couple would like you to do, that you are comfortable to do. You're not obliged to do anything that you don't want to, but certainly sing and dance. And, you know, sometimes you do need to sing and dance to keep everyone happy until the bride arrives. No, yeah, not a problem with anything like that you want to add, as long as the couple are happy with that.
Yeah. Okay. A little helper is just sort of giving me the contents of the platinum pack. So you get the business starter pack, the client generated pack. So that goes deep into Facebook ad marketing. Your Facebook Live wedding pack, which is about also the Zoom wedding pack. So, of course, through the pandemic, a lot of weddings had to be began to be broadcast via Facebook Live and Zoom wedding. That is a tradition that seems to be staying with us because it's an option for for family members that can't attend because either they're overseas and they can't make the trip. But it's about how to involve
other members.
The people, the guests that are present, and also those that are online. And also it includes the MC presentation skills pack. That's what you get in the platinum. Okay. All right. Oh, we're getting down to the end. Eleanor asked us, what about tax and offsets?
Okay. And we do cover that in the course. So we have a couple of activities in tax. As a celebrant, you can either run this business as a small business or you can run it as a hobby. That's entirely up to you. There are a few questions that you need to look at to decide whether you are a hobbyist or whether you are in fact a small business. If you open up a website and you've got an Instagram account that's business and Facebook that's business, you're pretty much a small business. If you've got to get an ABN number because you want to buy a domain name, you can't do one without the other, then you're pretty much a small business. Now, in terms of what you can claim, I'm sorry, you can't claim your outfits. Probably shouldn't tell everyone that now. I remember it was the most disappointing part of my class when they told me you can't claim your Anthea Crawford dresses and your expensive shoes. Okay, you might have an accountant that could create something for you if your outfit was deemed to be some form of uniform, but probably not likely. Shoes you can only claim if they're steel cap boots because they're considered to be a safety item. Well, I have not yet been asked to wear steel cap boots at a ceremony. You can claim all of your registration fees, your travel expenses, gifts to your clients, your PA system after you're registered, your stationery, your printing, your paper. You can claim a percentage of the workspace in your home against your rent or against your mortgage. That needs extra discussion with an accountant. So you can, if you're keeping records of all those sorts of things, yes, you can claim a lot of that. Of those expenses, but if you are a celebrant doing X amount of ceremonies, however many you're doing, you have to actually declare that income to be able to make a claim against the expenses. So it's got to be both. Did that answer enough? Because this is like, I could go for about an hour.
No, I think that's good. It gives us a good idea, Jane.
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, so we've come to the end of the hour, and just as I said, I wanted to respect everybody's time and get started early or on time, and we'll finish on time too. Now, look, some of the things that we've talked about, such as the Platinum Pack or sound systems, you can find those on our website. The study options are, obviously, you can do the course all online, as we say, at your pace and at your place. Or you can spend 5 days with Jean. We do a Monday to Friday option via Zoom. We also do, on occasion, we regularly have, I think, a Tuesday,
Wednesday, Thursday night.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. and also Saturday classes. And you'll find those on our website as well. So I think we've got scheduled, well, I think we might have schedules up to about February next year at the present time. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for attending. Do feel free to get in touch with us. If you want to find out more information about some of the things that we talked about, go through the website or send us a question. We'd love to help you out with that. Everybody have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.